my friends, this is the K390 Ladybug. So the Ladybug is one of the Seki City Delica series knives. I sort of think of the Delica first and maybe the Endura. I always think of the Delica first. Don't know, which one do you think of first? And then there's the Indela, and then there's the Man Bug. For all of the people who just couldn't stand carrying a Ladybug, it's basically identical. A couple of millimeters here and there. And then there is the Police 4 in FRN, and that sort of completes the lineup of... Oh, and there's the Dragonfly as well. Kind of completes the lineup of FRN knives. This, of course, is the Police with G10 and full liners, and the same K390 blade as well. So, same steel as my beloved Police 4 there on this K390 Ladybug. So it's a tiny little knife. Let's show you some size comparisons to get a bit of a handle on how tiny it actually is. Here's a Ladybug against a Spyderco Delica. And here it is against a Spyderco Paramilitary 2. Here it is next to the plastic-handled Buck 110. Here it is next to the Half-Breed Blades large infantry knife. Here it is against the Falkneven A2 survival knife. And of course, as per usual, here it is against a Ryobi OBL 1820S cordless leaf blower with battery pack. Alright, so you get the picture. It's a knife when fully extended, usually fits the handle silhouette of most other pocket knives. So what better use for that than to put it on your keys? I thought you could also use one of those little detachable pocket clips, or you could just chuck it in the bottom of your pocket and it'll be absolutely fine. But I looked at my keys and thought, yeah, they can take it. And so I lunged around and I feel like a prison warden sometimes carrying this big thing around. Got my aircraft cable keyring, put an F-Spider on there. And Bob is your uncle. But there you go. That is just a suggested use for carrying this. It's a great little knife to have on you all the time, because you'll use it for lots of little tiny jobs. And the coolest thing about having K390 as the steel is that little tiny edge has got maximum edge retention. So really, when you think about it, what have I got here? This Super Gold Delica. In my rope cutting test, we'll cut the rope with the same angle that I've put on this one here about 400 times. This guy here, when I get a K390 edge with the same angle that I do the same rope test on, cuts for about twice as long as this. So K390 is usually hitting in about the 800 rope cuts of twisted sisal rope, and that's if you're subscribed to my tests. But a lot of other guys who do a lot of other testing find the same sort of results, that this is in the upper echelon of edge retention. I would steer towards Laren at Knife Steel Nerds for further discussion and confirmation. So, a great little blade, I think, to have an excellent steel in. Because, yeah, you've got, sure, twice the edge retention in about half the blade length. You're going to have about perhaps the same amount of cutting power or cutting longevity. If you just cut cardboard with both of these knives all day, you do small cuts with this one using the whole edge, and then you do longer cuts with this one, spreading that damage out. They might last about the same length of time. So I think it's a really cool idea, having these great little steels and these little tiny but perfectly formed knives. So using the knife overall, it's going to be a two-fingered knife, just like that. The little bit of extra bits and bobs you add will end up being something to grab onto as well. Nice little kind of very decisive grip there. The spidey hole causes a natural rise there with your thumb riding on that, so it really isn't going anywhere. Perfectly comfortable little occasional use knife. I don't love doing the rope cut test with knives this small because repetitive tasks do get a bit jarring, simply because you end up over gripping on what is a very small piece of plastic in your hand nonetheless. But as an occasional user, it's absolutely fine. It's actually more in line with, say, the Stretch. That's one that I forgot. The Stretch has the same sort of handle as this one. Perhaps, you know, a little bit more back heavy. The Delica's slightly more streamlined. I don't know. Much of a muchness, but definitely the same series. I'm sure you can see there. The FRN material is a fiberglass reinforced nylon, so a plastic feeling material with the very proactive grip that Spyderco has on this Volcano grip, where it all sort of points to the logo in the center, meaning that if you grab onto it and pull back, it provides a slightly abrasive effect that isn't too problematic if you were just doing something normal like holding it. If you wanted to use it to, say, buff off a wart, you possibly could do that as well. Swinging it around to the back, you've got a small amount of what I guess you would call plasticky jimping, which, let's have a squeeze, may be doing something, but there is so much going on in this little hand right now that I can't even nail down it's feeling right now. So it's there probably just as a, maybe as a throwback to, what do these guys have? Nope, these guys don't have it either. So I guess they're just trying to put maximum grip on what they know is a very small handle. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I can't quite feel it myself. A little bit of jimping on the back of the spider hole there too. So yeah, not really a huge amount to say about this knife, apart from, yes, I really endorse and really enjoy having these really nice steels in these really small blades. K390 is going to last about as long as you can get for a production knife. Steel and Spyderco seem to do it very well. I think they take it to 64 or something similar on the Rockwell scale. I think that's certainly what they've done with the police. And yeah, unless they're going to do a Maximet range of these, which, I mean, you never know, then this is probably about the best edge retention you're going to get from the Seiki City series from Spyderco. So really, really cool, something to be excited about if you are a steel nerd. Now you can have a super steel in a super small package, maybe even writing on your keys. So there you go. The mid-lock back, I've never had a problem with it at all. I just think it's nice to have a little knife that actually locks, because a lot of these little knives are slip joints by this point. Any smaller, and they certainly are. So the Spyderco Bug, and I believe the Grasshopper, if that's still around, they are slip joints by that point, and they are 8CR13 MOV, stainless steel handles made in China. These are Japanese FRN locking knives, so certainly a cut above. I really enjoy the FRN K390 Ladybug. I like the handle colour. I like the blade. It's very thin. It slices really well. It does all the jobs that you're going to ask of a blade this size. And I do believe I've said all I have to say about this matter. The knife has my endorsement. Thank you very much, Chris. Get on these if this is something that tickles your fancy. Ta-ta and farewell.